What's up, you guys? It's Ben and welcome back to my channel where we talk about everything there is relating to selling on Amazon. So a few days ago, Amazon has introduced new changes in regards to the storage limits that all of us Amazon UK sellers have to abide by very recently. Well, now that there's been a few days and all of us UK sellers can see how much we're allowed to sell and how many units we're allowed to send into the Amazon FBA warehouses, there has been so much complaining and hating on Amazon, whether that's on Amazon's forums or FBA Facebook forums. Really, so many sellers have been complaining because they have got so many issues to deal with at the moment given these recent changes. Well, in today's video, what I wanted to do is talk to you about, from my personal perspective, what do I think about them? Because at the end of the day, guys, I've been selling on Amazon now for over 3 years. I am in this with you at the end of the day, right? And I actually understand the impact of it. How am I going to be dealing with it? And I actually want to give you a few points to consider as well if you're going to be selling on Amazon in the long term. It's not all doom and gloom, and there are certain things that has happened that is actually quite good in my personal opinion that I wanted to share with you in today's video. And guys, if you are interested in selling on Amazon and you really want to take this seriously, then please don't forget to check the links down below for my own personal mentorship. I understand that starting an Amazon FBA business can be quite tricky, so I'm here to help you with product research, with speaking to suppliers, with launching your first product and making sure you get those first sales. Otherwise, guys, if you're interested in selling on Amazon but you're starting on a relatively low budget, maybe £1,000 or less, don't forget to check the links down below for my Helium 10, the best product research tool out there. Awesome, the best e-commerce accountants that I could find in the UK, or Tide, the perfect business bank account to start off your Amazon FBA business. With that being said, guys, let's get straight to the video. Alright guys, so first things first, I just wanted to show you how I'm personally being affected by these changes in the storage limits. A couple of days ago, actually, probably about a week ago, I was able to send over 11,000 units into Amazon FBA's warehouses, okay? I had absolutely no problems at all with that particular storage limit. However, since these very recent changes, as you can see, I am now way in excess of my standard size storage limits. I am now effectively unable to send a single unit until I bring this amount of quantity back down below £6,530. And as you can imagine, this is quite stressful for me, and it's also quite costly because effectively I am unable to replenish any of my inventory, and I effectively have to sell out as many units as possible to be able to send anything to Amazon's FBA warehouses. This is a big problem because previously we only had to worry about each and every single product and how well they were selling, whereas now we actually have to worry about our account in total, how many products Amazon allows us to send to the FBA warehouses. They don't really care which product you're sending anymore. That is up for you to decide. However, what they do care is how much inventory space you're taking up versus how much they're allowing you to. So right now for me, this is a big issue. And as you can see, if you look at my sales dashboard, I actually am now over around 4,000 units in excess, okay? And last month, I sold 3,454 units this year in the month of so far this year. The month before that, I sold 4,233 units. So as you can see, this storage limit effectively is going to affect me for at least 30 days. I have to now try and my best to sell as many products as possible so I can get under that limit, and that will most likely take me about 25 to 30 days. And now myself, I'm not the only one. In most cases, my students and people on Facebook forums and stuff has said that they are now allowed to send usually around 6 to 8 weeks of their weekly sales effectively. Anything above that, Amazon wants you to either sell off as quickly as possible or dispose of it as quickly as possible. And that is a big issue. No longer can we just send to Amazon FBA warehouses and leave it with them for them to deal with it. Now it's much more in our hands to deal with our inventory. Alright guys, so let's talk about it. First, I'll give you the bad news, then I'll give you some of the good points that I think that comes out of the storage limit, and then some things for you guys to consider if you are going to start selling on Amazon, or if you're already selling on Amazon, that I think is very noteworthy. Well, the bad news is pretty obvious. The very beginning is you simply are unable now to send any products at all to Amazon. If you're in the same position as I am, and if you've been selling for quite some time, you're probably going to be over the same storage limit, and therefore we're going to have to do two things: either sell out our inventory at a cheaper price to get rid of those units as much as possible, or we will have to create removal orders and therefore get that inventory sent back to us from Amazon into our own garages, storage units, wherever. As long as they're outside of Amazon's warehouses, outside of their premises, that's all Amazon cares about. Because at the end of the day, guys, think about it. They are a business and they want to make sure that anything in their warehouses gets moving pretty quickly. They don't want to have stagnant inventory staying there for months and months and months. Also, another negative thing that I see from the storage limit coming around is actually for sellers as well as buyers. And the reason for that is because effectively at the moment, I, for example, am unable to send out any new products whatsoever at all. If I want to release a new product, and I actually have 10 new products coming in from Alibaba at the moment, I am unable to do so. They have to be stuck at the storage units at the moment and wait for that storage limit to either increase or for me to sell out some of my other products. So customers are losing out as well, because I have so many new good products that I would like for them to have a look at, potentially buy, which they will not be able to do so. And I am just one of many thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of sellers that are in exactly the same position. So short term, I actually do believe that customers lose out as well, because they're going to have less choice. The next thing, this is really honestly annoying for me, and at the end of the day is going to be much more work, right? Instead of me sending hundreds and hundreds of units to Amazon each and every single month or so, I now have to drip feed inventory pretty much on a weekly, if not bi-daily basis. And this causes me much more work, going to the storage unit, sticking on the barcode, sticking on the labels potentially, and sending it out to Amazon each and every single other day. Okay, there's going to be many more shipping plans to do, and there's going to be much more work involved as well, because now what we have to do is basically drip feed all of that inventory into Amazon slowly but surely, as opposed to in much bigger chunks, which is usually a much more convenient way to do for us Amazon FBA UK sellers. And then last but not least is the potentially high storage fees. If my inventory doesn't sell out quick enough and I'm still over the limit for quite some time, if I don't reduce my prices, then I am subject to potentially really high storage fees. So they are incentivizing for me to sell out as quickly as possible in order for me not to overpay for those few hundreds or thousands of units of inventory stuck at their Amazon FBA warehouses. This is something that is really stressful for me, because at the end of the day, making a profit on Amazon at the moment is relatively difficult, and with excess storage fees, this is probably going to be impossible in the short term. However, there are some good things that I think you should consider as well. The first things first is the fact that this news has come out in Q2. Imagine what would have happened if it came out in Q4. In my personal opinion, usually Q2 is the slowest quarter of the year for Amazon and online sales in general. Well, if these inventory limits were introduced in Q4, there would be a devastating impact on so many of our businesses, because the demand is increasing through the roof, and at the same time we would be unable to send any inventory to Amazon FBA warehouses. What I like about this is because it gives us enough time, enough notice to recalibrate our businesses, to sell off any excess inventory, and therefore change our business practices to the drip feeding method that I'm speaking about into Amazon FBA. By the time Q4 comes along, a lot more units should have been sold out. All of us are going to be accustomed to our new storage limits, and therefore we will be able to benefit from the increase in demand in Q4. This is something that we should be grateful for Amazon to doing this now, as opposed to later on down the line, because Q4 is already very manic time of the year for us, and having these sort of storage limits out of nowhere, coming out of nowhere, is only going to make things worse. Also, guys, second thing that is also quite good in my personal opinion is if you're basically selling in the UK and you live in the UK, anywhere outside of London, in my experience from my calculations, is that storage is actually cheaper anywhere else outside of London and outside of Amazon. Amazon's storage costs are actually quite high, but if you manage to store something in your own garden, in your own shed, in your loft, for example, or a storage unit anywhere outside of London, you are actually going to save money on storage. So yes, like I said earlier, there will be more work to be done. However, storage wise, you're actually going to save money in the short term and also in the long term. The next thing I also wanted to highlight is the fact that you now have a little bit more control. At the end of the day, selling on Amazon, there is a lot of control that we give to Amazon already. They are in charge of the platform, they are in charge of the customers, they are in charge of what gets shown on the first page and so on and so forth. However, guys, now with us having less of our storage, less of our units at any one time in their warehouse, gives us just that little bit more control. Instead of us having 20-30% of our units in the storage place, now having around 80 to probably 90% of our storage in our warehouses, gives us a bit more control, because if anything happens on Amazon, let's say God forbid your account actually gets suppressed, suspended, disabled, whatever, you have 90% of your storage with you. Okay, you can either try and sell it elsewhere, you can do something with it. Whereas if you had majority of your units at Amazon, then it's even more stress on your shoulders, because you also have to think about what you're going to do with the inventory, how you're going to take it back, and so on. So this is also really important to note, because now we are in much more control of our business as opposed to what we were 5, 6 or months ago, or like a year ago. And then last but not least, guys, think about it. This is a big problem for us UK sellers, okay? We have to think about the limits and so on and so forth. But have a think about how big of a problem this is for Chinese sellers or foreign sellers in general, okay? It's hard enough negotiating prices with storage units to try and get the storage unit sorted and sending all of the inventory there, or potentially, sending your inventory to your own home and so on. But what if you're dealing with all of this from China? What if you are selling in UK? UK is your main market, and now all of a sudden you have to deal with these storage limits and you cannot send any more inventory into the UK market. What are you going to do now? Now, of course, it is still possible, it still can be done. However, it causes so many more issues for foreign sellers. Some of my foreign students as well are struggling as well, because given the fact that they're not here in the UK to receive the inventory, it's causing a lot more issues for them in the short term and in the long term. And last but not least, guys, I wanted to talk to you about something. At the end of the day, if you have been selling on Amazon for quite some time, you should have seen this coming. Now, I personally have made the mistake and I didn't see it coming. However, there was some clues along the way. First clue was the fact that actually Amazon was giving us a period of time where they were giving removal orders, so you can remove as much of your inventory as possible completely free of charge. This is a reason why they wanted to get out, free up their warehousing space as much as possible, and giving this showed their intentions of what they want to do with their Amazon FBA marketplace. Now, if I actually took on this clue, I would have easily used that offer and disposed of or got a lot of my items returned, so I wouldn't have had that issue in the first place. You could have also seen this happening because this has already happened in the American marketplace as well, and UK Amazon always follows what is going on in America. So if you were savvy, if you did your research previously, which I admit I didn't do, and I am human, I do make mistakes, we could have avoided this. Also, guys, remember, at the end of the day, in my personal opinion, Amazon FBA now has changed forever, okay? Back in 2018, when way before coronavirus, way before online sales took a massive boom, it was very simple with Amazon FBA. You literally had to pick up products from China and send them straight to the Amazon FBA warehouse. You didn't even have to look, touch, feel the products at all. It was all done via laptop. This was the time when you could have had that laptop lifestyle that everybody is dreaming of. Then when 2019 came around, Amazon changed. They introduced IPI scores. They introduced storage limits for units and then products and so on and so forth. And it was to the point where Amazon FBA warehouses is when you held majority of inventory, but any excess units, any units that were selling relatively slowly, you had to store in your own house, flat, storage unit, etc. Well, now Amazon FBA has changed forever. No longer can we send countless amounts of units into Amazon FBA warehouses like it's some sort of black hole. At the end of the day, guys, now we're going to be in charge of our own inventory far more, and we're going to have to drip feed into Amazon each and every single week. There is no more ever going to be the case where we just send as many units as we want to the Amazon FBA warehouses and they will deal with everything. It has changed, and to be completely honest, there will be quite a few sellers that are going to be leaving the Amazon FBA marketplace for good, because it's nowhere near as convenient as it once was. However, us flexible sellers, people that moan about it in the very beginning but then start thinking about ways of overcoming these obstacles, will thrive in this, because with less sellers now and with increase in demand for online sales, there is going to be a much bigger pie for the rest of us. Effectively, there's going to be all of this demand for online sales, and so many old sellers are going to be leaving because they just don't want to deal with the hassle anymore. I know countless amounts of people that are literally just sick and tired of dealing with Amazon FBA, and I'm absolutely fine with that, because then that means there's more sales for me to take. So with that being said, guys, that's pretty much it for today's video. Like I said, if you do want to start selling on Amazon, please don't forget to check the links down below for my own personal mentorship. I know it can be overwhelming, I know it can be quite stressful, and I am here to help you. Thank you so much for watching. I'll speak to you soon. Bye bye.